Hello, Kelley Woods here, Woods Hypnosis in Anacortes, Washington. I want to talk to you a little bit about a wonderful technique that works for quelling anxiety. Many of you have probably heard about it, bilateral stimulation, and there are several different versions of it. Here's one that I learned originally, and then I'm going to teach you a couple of my hybrid adjustments to it. So when I'm introducing this to a client, I'm going to talk to them about the idea that there are different approaches for moving state. And I love these state shifters that are really quick, that don't require a lot of thinking, because as you know, many people who suffer from anxiety are also overthinkers. We can think about this bilateral stimulation as being what's referred to as a bottom-up approach. So bottom-up meaning that we're changing our physiology to change the way not only that we're feeling physically, but mentally and emotionally. Whereas when we're using our creative imagination, our thoughts to change the way that we're feeling, that would be more of a top-down approach. So once I've introduced it that way, I want to be creating that expectation that what we're about to do is really going to make a shift happen. And that's why I use that phrase, state shifter. I put all of this under the frame of mindful self-hypnosis techniques, which are quick and easy to do, self-directed exercises. And you already know a bunch of them, and you're already teaching a bunch of them to your clients, perhaps hopefully even using them for yourselves. So this is one that you can add to your toolkit. It starts by demonstrating first, and often, especially if I'm working on Zoom, I'll invite a client to follow along with me to find some object, and it can be anything. It can be a pencil, it could be an apple, something nearby that they can hold in their hand. And I like to use my little Finnish Relic. This was born in about 1956 and came to the United States with my mother. His name is Stinky. He's a character from the Moomin series. I like to use Stinky just because he's kind of provocative, he's kind of fun, and he also doesn't look very happy, does he? So the kids that I work with really like Stinky, and some of the adults just think I'm weird, but that's fine. So I hold this object out in front, and I focus my eyes on Stinky. And then I'm going to start moving it off to the side, following it, all the way out to the edges of my vision, and then back, passing it from hand to hand. You guys are probably familiar with this. If I'm doing it and at a demo for a group session, I'll really extend my arms all the way out. You can't really see because of the camera range here, but I'll encourage them to do that. Then I'll talk about, while I'm doing this, I'll talk about the idea that anxiety is not a slow and cool state. It's hot, it's fast. They can even feel their nervous system accelerating in that way. And so I'll explain that if I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to pace this to that anxiety feeling. So if I'm really ramped up, if I'm really stressed out, it's going to look more like this. Yes, you can think of EMDR with this too. You can even think of the old-timey hypnotists with their swinging pocket watches, same thing's happening. And then I'm going to start to slow it down. And the wonderful thing about this is I don't have to be thinking about anything, because often it's my thoughts that are getting me into that anxious state anyway. But I'm just gradually slowing it down as quickly or as slowly as I want that to happen. When my client is following along like this, they can very quickly feel that calming down, that dropping down of the nervous system. Till after a while, they're feeling much better. This is effective for most people. It's very rare that I have someone who doesn't feel the impact of that. And of course, what we really want to do is empower our clients to be able to self-regulate. So what I might do is have them slow down like that. And then once they affirm to me that, yeah, they can feel that, they're feeling calmer, you can even watch for signs of trance in their eyes. And then I suggest that they start to pick up that pace and see what happens. Oh my, Yep, I can feel my heart rate go up. Ooh, my temperature went up too, and I'm not even in menopause anymore. You get the idea. Showing them how they can turn it up, they can turn it down is empowering to them. And we talk about, where they might want to use something like this. They want to practice it at home. They want to do it before an event or before they're going to school. Well, what if they're sitting at a school desk and they're passing their stinky or some other object in front of them like that? That's going to get them a lot of attention. And for kids who have social anxiety, and I'm talking about kids of all ages, so this is completely appropriate for your adult clients too. For those who have social anxiety, drawing that kind of attention to themselves is the last thing that they want. So I create an alternative for them. And it goes like this. For times when they might be out in public, they might be around other people, maybe even one person, and they don't really want to go into that full routine, they can simply do this. And I direct them to make their hands in this shape. And then what they're going to do is set their fingers right on the tops of their knees, right on the apex, right where the knee bends, and they're going to start tapping. Bilateral tapping. And I start them out slow, and I have them match me as I'm showing this. And then I ask them to increase that speed. And notice what happens with the nervous system. Each and every person can feel that. If you're doing this right now, you can feel it too. And then start slowing it down. Take back control of the way that you're feeling. It'll help you take back control of the way that you're thinking, the way that you're feeling emotionally. What's really interesting is that when I've demonstrated this in person with my clients, a good third of them continue to do this throughout the whole session. And when you get them into this nice dreamy state of just tapping like this, you can suggest that their eyes close and blah, 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 off you go. And it can certainly happen online too, in Zoom sessions or however you do them. But what a great tool to give anybody that they can use wherever they are. They can tap on their knees, they could tap on their thighs. I've taught this to athletes. They're waiting to go into the martial arts ring or waiting for the basketball game to start and they're feeling nervous. They can just tap very discreetly, right? As long as that bilateral alternating motion. And of course, like any new move that an athlete would learn, you don't want to learn it the night before the big game. You want to have it well ahead of time so that you're practicing it. I might teach this to someone who has a fear of flying to augment whatever we do in our session, but then I will suggest that they practice it several times a day, even encouraging them to use their timer on their smartphone or to time it with certain events of the day, like when they first wake up or before they eat. Imagine just tapping yourself into that wonderful rest and digest state. It's certainly going to make it more likely that a person would engage in mindful eating if that's one of their goals. But play with it yourself and see how it feels. I think you're going to find it a very useful tool to add for yourself and for your clients. And thank you for joining me today. See you next time.